Natural bias. Such as in artificial intelligence.
The advantage of machines with artificial intelligence is that they have no emotion or preference, so they're naturally unbiased, right?
Sir, yes, sir!
Think again. Bias in many ways becomes a natural byproduct of intelligence, regardless of whether it's natural or artificial.
Oh no!
But first, let's understand what bias is. Let's look at examples of bias. First example, target shooting. Here we'll focus on two types of errors, errors of precision and errors of bias. For the first target shooting scenario, let's look at no bias error with small errors of precision. Let's take a gun whose sights are calibrated with no bias. The slight tremor of the marksman's hands may cause a precision error, but the shots will still accumulate around the center of the target. So in this example, none of the error is due to bias. There is precision error. For the second target shooting scenario, we'll look at small errors of precision, but with bias added to it. Consider a gun whose sights aren't properly calibrated. If the marksman aims the sights exactly on the bullseye, the shot of the bullet from the barrel will actually hit over here. As a result, the bias of the gun appears as shots gather away from the center when the marksman aims the sights at dead center. The cause of the bias is that the sights on the gun don't align where the bullet will hit. So here's a comparison of small precision error with no bias versus small precision error with bias. And here's a comparison of large precision error with no bias versus large precision error with bias. Subsequently, in this example, the precision error is the average error that a marksman using unbiased sights on a gun makes in a round of shots. The bias error, on the other hand, is the distance from the center of the target that the bullet will hit if we point the sights exactly at the bullseye. Second example of bias, random selection. In this example, let's look at a map of a group of people. Each dot represents a person. The weighted center of the people is about here. Let's pick some people to help with a project everyone wants to be a part of. But we only need half the people. To make it easy, let's pick all the people on the right side of the map. It's not because we like them better or because they're more skilled. They just happen to be closer to our workplace. But when we do that, we reject all the people on the left side of the map, even though it isn't on purpose. As a result, the weighted center of the people we chose shifts from the weighted center of the entire population. So we've created a bias in our innocent method for selecting people for the project. We had no emotional preference of certain individuals over others. We just created a quick, easy method to select them. Some of the people lucked out. Others got a bad break. But a bias was created nonetheless when we picked out a subset of the entire population. Even though there was no sentiment against the people on the left side of the map, if they want to find fault, they can say the selection method clearly had a bias since nobody on the left side was picked. This method of selection would always favor people closest to the office. Thus, the result is deemed as biased and unfair. And it's this sense of unfairness that makes many claim that bias is bad. But for now, we are just focusing on what the nature of bias is.